Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the April 19th mid-monthly Tribal Council meeting. Thank you for joining us. We're going to call to order at 5:02. Louis, would you like to say our blessing this evening?
Okay. Joker, we give thanks for this day. We give thanks for the young people working for the tribe. We ask for a special blessing on the council members and their families. We pray for the tribe. We're going through a terrible time with this epidemic. It shatters so many lives. Help us be strong and carry out the Winnebago way. We ask you this a special blessing upon those individuals serving their country. We thank them for their service. Help us as we look over the issues impacting the tribe. May we be fair and strong in our decisions. This we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Louis. Council, we have an agenda before us. Are there any additions to this agenda? John?
I wanted to add, I see there's a river bottom signs. So I wanted to add cleanup as well, river bottom cleanup.
Okay, thank you. Are there any further additions to the agenda? Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
We have a motion by Eric. Do we have a second? We have a second from Coley. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried. 600. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 700. Okay, in the packet, we have the April 5th, 2021 regular tribal council meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? Do we have a motion for the April 5th, 2021 regular council meeting minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Coley. Do we have a second? We have a second by Rona. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried, 700. The second set of minutes, what's that?
Brandon, check my computer. It's locked up on Outlook.
Okay. Can you guys remote into Louis' machine and see what's going on? Okay. Our second set of minutes are the April 9th, 2021 special meeting, Wildlife and Parks meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? We have a motion by John. Do we have a second?
Actually, Tori, I think we have a correction that needs to be made.
Okay.
It's on the Brian Chamberlain motion to honor John Snowball request to revert back to Wildlife and Parks. Second by Coley. The yes votes were Brian, Rona, and Coley. And the no votes were Lorelei, Eric, and Thelma. Louis didn't vote on that, and it was actually a tie-breaking vote by the chair.
Okay.
If you do recall, you broke that tie, Chairwoman.
Okay. So Is there a motion to approve these minutes as corrected?
Madam Chair,
Yeah,
Madam Chair,
yes.
the minutes are recorded as it happened. There wasn't a tie vote. Louis voted yes. Or he voted with where Brian's motion failed.
Louis had not been on the call yet, and I remember this because Tori asked me to make sure if I was going to vote, and I said no, and then that's when the tie-breaking vote came from our chair.
So I'm opening up my minutes right now. And I show yes being Brian, Rona, and Coley. I see no being Lorelai, Louis, Eric, and Thelma, and one abstention. So the vote I show is 3-4-0. Or 3-4-1, excuse me. So there's one abstention.
That's what I had on my notes too.
3-4-1.
Same.
Okay. So, I had to look back, John, because I don't recall voting in that, but I just had to confirm. So going back to the minutes, they are correct for that item. So with that, is there a motion to approve the April 9th, 2021 special meeting minutes? We have a motion by Rona. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
We have a second from Eric. Discussion. John, did you have something different in your notes?
Yeah, I just got it recorded that was a 3-3, and then you broke the tie, so I'll just object to this, I guess.
Okay. Is there any further discussion or comments? Objection to the motion. Okay. All those in favor of approving the April 9th special meeting minutes, please say aye or raise your hand so I can see your vote. We have Louis, Coley, Lorelai, Eric, Thelma, Rona. Opposed? 1. Abstentions? 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, 1, 0. Motion carried. The third set of minutes are the April 12th, 2021 land meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by John. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Rona. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. We have the ratification of our 5 signature items. The first ratification is to approve the letter of support for RWJF funding approval. Is there a motion to ratify that?
So moved.
We have a motion by Rona. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Thelma. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. Our second ratification, approve travel expenses for Garen Coons and Matt May to Eagle Butte, South Dakota to hotspot and live stream the first varsity all-native football game. Is there a motion to ratify that 5 signature?
Motion to ratify.
We have a motion by Eric. Do we have a second?
Second,
We have a second by Louis. Discussion.
Did we get a total cost on that?
No, I did not get the total cost on that. We can follow up with the total cost.
Okay,
I just want to say thanks to Coley for his email that kind of got the discussion going. That was really helpful to the parents that were able to view the game and all the fans in Winnebago that were able to. Garen reported we had 900 people log in and stream that game. So thank you to the council for supporting that endeavor and supporting our youth. Any further comments? Any objection to the motion? Motion carried 7-0-0. Our third is approved TC appropriations assistance eligibility guidelines. So for the memberships information, there were some further guidelines that we asked Human Services to develop, and from time to time our tribal members have emergencies, and so the council had appropriated money to Human Services. And as you know, this winter we had the polar vortex, and this summer we'll probably have, you know, heat and different things that some of our tribal members might have broken pipes or different things happen that they have to call on the assistance of the tribe. And so there was criteria developed for the emergency assistance that weren't income restricted. And sometimes some of our families who might have a decent income or might have a 2-income family or whatever it is, you know, they sometimes come on hardship. So the council looked at additional guidelines that would give the program more flexibility to use those to the tribal members' benefit. And so because we had a tribal member that was having to use that for funeral purposes, we approved these before our next meeting. So that's why it was approved by 5 signature. So that's the explanation on that. If it sounds a little confusing, if it says appropriation assistance eligibility guidelines, these appropriated dollars are available and accessible at the Human Services Department. Is there a motion to ratify those eligibility guidelines?
so moved.
We have a motion by Rona. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Oh, that was Coley. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. Our fourth one is adopt resolution 21-83 FY21 Historic Preservation Fund Annual Tribal Historic Office Grants. Is there a motion to ratify resolution 21-83? Oh, excuse me, adopt. Who said that? Sorry. Oh, Eric. Who was the second?
I'll second.
Second by Coley. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. Number 5, adopt resolution 21-84 FY21 Head Start 1.22% COLA application. Is there a motion to adopt?
so moved.
Motion to adopt.
Thelma. Louis, you want to second that? I got Thelma on the motion.
Yeah,
Okay. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. New business. In the packet, we have a request from the Native Select Girls High School basketball team. The submission was from one of the parents and one of their coaches, Frederick Whitebear. And so what the girls are asking for is a donation match to what they've raised. And one of the things that I noticed is we don't have the breakdown in here, but it shows that they've raised So it says they've raised $2,397.51. And in the past, I know we've required them to bring in kind of like their flyer or something that showed that they had their sale. And I know in the past that we've approved it pending them bringing those things in. So the match policy, I think, is up to, I think it's up to $2,500. So is there a motion for this Native Select girls basketball team?
That'd be for 23.97.51.
Yeah, that would be what they're asking to match. And so the youth policy says that we would match them up to, it's either 2,000 or 2,500. I'm pretty sure it's 2,500.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 25. I'll make that motion pending their, they bring in their
Okay,
Second.
supporting documents.
we have a motion by Coley and we have a second by Eric. Discussion. Any of, John?
I just want to say that I support this, and that I actually started a youth basketball team just to keep the kids playing, and it's really good to keep them going and get their confidence, and how it's going to impact all the other parts of their lives, that they can gain that confidence and work together as a team and travel and see new places, and that's the kind of things that we want our youth in. So I just wanted to say that much, and that I support it.
Thanks, John. I agree. This gives our girls and guys that have teams as well a chance to broaden their horizons, work together, learn skills, and that they put in the effort to raise some of the money. I think that's really helpful. And thank you to the parents that are donating to all these fundraisers to get some of these sales going also. Any other comments of support? Any objection to the motion? Without objection, motion carried 7-0-0. The next request in the packet is also a request for a donation. We have the Thomas brothers who have submitted Thomas Racing, and these gentlemen are both involved in racing and have done so in memorial of their father, and are hoping to continue to race in his name. And I believe the request is one, to solicit to Winnebago, and also requesting a donation as well. It looks like some of the costs were broken down, and it includes racing fuel, $50 for 5 gallons each night they race, times 10 is $500. Tires, $110 pre-tire need, $440. Oil change, $75 every third race, times 15 races is $1125. And entry fee, $30 times 15 races is $450. So it's a sizable expense and hobby that these gentlemen have on behalf of their father, and are hoping to continue. So I guess I don't know if it's a two-part motion. One would be to ask to solicit to Winnebago, and the other one is requesting a donation from the tribe. I did learn that the tribe's logo or any of their sponsors would be displayed on the vehicle. Does anybody have any other comments or information they want to share? I'm just going from the packet. John?
I just see that permission to solicit funds from tribal departments. So I think that was kind of the ask too. Like if any tribal departments wanted to get their logo on the car, for instance, Wildlife and Parks, if they wanted to provide sponsorship, and all those people out there would see Wildlife and Parks and would know us.
Okay. So yeah, you're right, John. It says donations, permission to solicit funds from tribal departments. Eric.
Okay, it says amount of required matching funds, $100 to $1,000. And it's good. I'm glad they're doing that for their father. But like you said, it's a hobby. And if they're going to be soliciting from individual tribal departments as well as a casino, should we leave it that to the departments then, and not make that decision at the council, or would we just combine it all? And if the council approves a amount, then that would be for the tribe. Kind of seems kind of mixed up if the individual departments are gonna donate to them, and then the tribe donates, and then the casino. That I don't know where the tribe breaks down at what point. So that's just kind of confusing. That's kind of like a little insight on that. But yeah, thank you.
Well, it sounds like one of the representatives is on the call, and the way I looked at it, Eric, thank you for pointing that out, was that it would be like a two-part approval. One, we'd be saying yes, they're allowed to solicit like we do for Winnebago. They need that approval, but it would be two also if we were willing to offer donation to the guys. And I didn't mean to downgrade it in any way. It just mentions, that it's a special hobby, and I think it's good to see some of our tribal members involved in some of the things going on in the area, like this racing. So, but I want to offer Jeff a time to speak on his own behalf. Jeff, are you unmuted? Garen, do you see Jeff on?
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. I'd like to say good evening, and it's me and my brother on the call.
Hi, guys.
So I guess we were just asking to see if we can get some help throughout the season, or it's just like tires or something, because we got to change tires every other race. Otherwise, they get blown out pretty quick. And like oil changes, we got to change oil every 3 races. And that gets kind of expensive too.
Hey, Jeff, I got a question just to clear up one of Eric's questions. Is the request to just solicit to the casino and departments, or is it to get the approval to solicit and also if the council was willing to make a donation?
The last one that you said.
Yeah, that was my understanding. And so does the council have any questions for any of these gentlemen about what they do? John?
I just wanted to speak up for them and speak good for them. I know Kaj and Jeff, and I worked with Jeff, and they're really good young men, and I've always known them to be work and responsible people, and that they're doing this, and I think it's really something, and it's inspiring, and that our young ones are watching, and they're seeing those 2 young men do something in race, and I know they have a following in our community, and we understand that we're good medicine to each other, and that when we see somebody going and trying to excel at something and doing good at it, and taking their own time and investing in that, I think it's something really special. So I think we should explore that, because there is a lot of people that are up there and understanding that advertising on these cars is something that's normal, and a lot of our departments or entities might be interested in having their logo on their cars. So I think we should explore that first and see how far that goes, and then we can come back and see if there's any unmet needs that the council may consider, and then helping them continue representing Winnebago up there. Those are my thoughts, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thanks, John, for sharing those. And I agree that it's about visibility and positive things that are happening. So thanks for shining some light on that. Thelma had her hand up. Thelma, did you want to comment? No? Okay, Eric?
For looking at the price of everything that they are looking for, looking at the amount from $1,000 to $100 or $100 to $1,000. 1,000 ain't gonna take them too far, but that's the max that they put on there. And I think I would like to see a big Winnebago tribal sticker on the doors or on the hood or somewhere, and give these gentlemen the $1,000 to get them down the road, because like I said, that's not gonna last too far in that racing community out there. I would be in favor of that $1,000 and to put our tribal logo on their vehicle.
Okay, thank you for that. Are you making that motion? Well, before we move on, I'm gonna Thelma, or excuse me, Rona to make her comment.
Well, I just wanted to go ahead and make the motion
Okay.
for
We have,
Thomas Racing to be able to solicit funds from the tribal community departments in Winnebago.
okay, we have a motion by Rona to solicit the Winnebago tribal departments and the casino. Is there a second? We have a second by John.
Discussion.
Discussion. Oh, no, we need a second then. Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay.
Discussion.
Second discussion, John.
I wanted to ask Rona if we could open it up to tribal entities, not limited to just one of Vegas. I think some of the
Oh, that's what
entities
I said, tribal community. Yeah, I said tribal departments, tribal community, and to also include Winnebago.
Yes, okay.
Or all the casinos, yeah, I guess. That's how we could word it.
We have a motion and we have a second. Is there, Thelma, you had your hand up this time? I keep seeing your hand. I keep thinking you have a comment.
No, I seconded that, but John got it.
Okay. Any further? Yes. Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Okay.
Hi, can you
All
guys hear
right.
me?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, guys. I just wanted to throw in there that it wouldn't just be like, asking for donations through the tribe or like in any other entities within the tribe departments and stuff. It's more like we're trying to promote things too. Like we said, we would have to put the business logo on the car. We have about 300 spectators that that view the races each night on Sunday. I noticed that a lot of businesses, they do that. They put their logos on the car and that's how they promote businesses. I actually did have Lita Goran do some shirts for us in town. We pretty much got her a lot of business just from her making shirts for us. And then again, like I did promote it on our Facebook Thomas Racing page, and that brought a lot of funds to her. That kind of brings a lot of funds to her family and her income and like helping her out too. I did also ask for like a lot of other businesses that can, are willing to donate or so. And the $100 to $1,000 was kind of just an estimate. We're not asking for a lot. We're not asking for too little. It's just more like we're asking whatever you can donate or whatever we can get from whatever departments is much appreciated. I've had somebody donate almost probably $100 just for oil changes that helped us out this past Sunday. And it's just more of like, we're trying to also promote the tribe's business with employment. Some students kind of like to see that around there on the racing tracks too, so.
Okay, thank you. Did you say Keely had a comment or Keats or who?
Is this can you hear me? This is very similar to what our requesting sports, and what I've always noticed, you require them to put the number in what they fundraise. And I understand that this is just a blanket request for 100 to 1,000, but why would we change for an adult and then requiring what our children's teams? So if you raise money, you had a fundraiser and then the tribe matches that. So is this the same type of request? Because why would we change things up for an adult? You know, NASCAR or whatever it is considered a sport. So I'm just saying, if you do this for the kids, then you would require the adults to do the same thing. So if Thomas Racing made this much money at a fundraiser, then but I think my comment just came at that after Brittany made her comments about, we're just asking for this solicitation of, for them to put Winnebago on the side of their car, which would be great, but it just seems like they're what we require of our youth sports should also pertain to what they're requiring, their own fundraising. That was all I wanted to comment on.
Thank you, Kelly. John, did you have a comment?
Yes, Chairwoman, I just wanted to comment on Keely's comment, and I don't believe it's the same in my opinion. And what they're offering is advertising, which is a common practice within the racing community. And they're if it makes sense to the department leads and the people making those decisions to donate and have their logo on the car, I think that's what this is. And not the same as fundraising and asking a match. I think this is a common practice, and I think I support it. And I also, in saying that, I would like to pledge $100. So Jeff and Brittany, you can contact me, and I'll make that donation.
Thanks, John, for that. To Keats's point, the youth one that we just did before that, there's actually a youth donation policy that has a dollar amount that is up to $2,500 match. And I don't know the origin of that policy, but it exists, and it may have been a limitation that the tribe had to put in place, at a time when there was a lot of sports teams. And so the policy for the youth is the youth match policy, and be happy to pull that up if anyone would like to see it. So we do have a motion and we do have a second. And so the motion right now is to solicit to the departments and the entities. After we do this one, if the council wants to give a donation from the council, then, I'll call for that motion. So call for the question, or any further comments? Any objection to the motion? Motion carried 7-0-0. Okay, so the second part was, is there a willingness or is there a motion to make a donation from the council? Eric?
I'd like to make a motion to donate $1,000 to the Thomas Racing Team.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second by Louis. Discussion.
I would prefer 1,500.
Eric, Louis would prefer 1,500. Are you open to 1,500, or would you like to keep it at 1,000?
1,500 is fine.
We have a motion and we have a second. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 7-0-0. Thank you, council, and thank you to the Thomas brothers for your representation and best wishes on your races. As well as to the girls basketball team, best wishes on their games. Our next item is old business, powwow discussion. The tribal council by email has had some ongoing discussion and the questions from our tribal members on are we going to have powwow? Lorelei had reached out to our public health department and our leadership had provided some recommendations that included mask wearing, 50% capacity, perhaps vaccinations being required. And so the discussion has been unfolding and the council has been putting their minds together, trying to find a solution and how we could have our celebration. So the floor is open on the powwow discussion. Eric.
Since we advertised for a committee, there's only been 2 people that put in for that. Before COVID arrived, the powwow committee, when it was the veterans at that time, we were 6 months ahead. And COVID came and it slowed everything down, and we ended up having just a small congregation just so we could have something to put in the books last year. And it was for our last war chief, little priest. And so it was small. It was just something for us to say that we did do something last year and we didn't have a blank year. And then it would seem like we were a year behind. So we just kind of did something in honor to have something, sold some shirts. A lot of the people that we had lined up when we were 6 months ahead, you know, we had a real good list of drum groups, and as it was said, it's if there's a team of drum groups, we had them. They were from Canada, Midwest, the North, the West, even some from the South and the East, and they agreed to come back whenever we were going to have a homecoming celebration. And so we were ready for that. We had everything set up, and then we even involved our CFO on that to take care of all of our finances through the tribe for the powwow. And we had our casino coming in and helping us as well. And then we were all working together. And you know, it does take time to get everybody ready. And not only on our end, but on the drummers' ends, the dancers' ends. And we kind of are running out of time already. And when the veterans have been running it, as we have for the last 2 years, that we've been encouraging our community members to come out, and if they had any concerns or ideas or just want to help out in general, we welcome them out to our meetings. And I guess what I'm saying is we're ready to go, that we're still ready to go. If the council chooses to have the veterans run it, and then we can include the 2 people that put in for the powwow committee to come out and help. And then we can pick up all of our drum group list and hold them to their word of saying that they will be here whenever COVID parameters are lifted. You know, not all the way, but to a certain extent of still hand sanitizing, wearing masks, social distancing to a certain extent. That I just kind of like to bring that to the council's attention of where we were 2 years ago before COVID arrived and where we're at now and what we're looking at. So that's just kind of food for thought, and I'll leave the rest up to the council to decide on which direction they want to go. If they want to carry on with the committee, then so be it. But if they want the veterans to pick up and carry on where we left off 2 years ago, then that's okay as well. And if the veterans take it over, we can have a meeting within 96 hours, and on Friday, we can have an update for the council, if that's the way the council chooses to go. So I'll say about that much. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Lorelai?
Madam Chair, I'm wondering whether we didn't really get applicants because the community, the tribe needs to know what the council decision the council is gonna make on having a celebration. And I feel like if we made a decision tonight that we would have one where we included the recommendations from the public health department, I think that there'll be members that want to be a part of building that powwow that will apply. So I don't want to cut the community out of being able to participate at planning the powwow. I think if we make a decision, we're going to get more applicants to help with the powwow. Not saying anything against the veterans. They can be a part of it too. But I'm just saying we need to give more time to the community once they hear what the council decides we are going to have one or not. I think the community has that right to be a part of planning the powwow as well. That's my point. Thank you.
Thanks, Lorelai. John?
Chairwoman, if we, there's no way we can make a decision whether or not we're having a powwow today, how rapidly things are developing, and we're in a pandemic. There's no way that we could say we're having a powwow or we're not having a powwow, because we don't know what it's going to be like in July. So we need to wait. I mean, last year, I think it was the week before powwow when because we was going to have something. It was like, well, we can't now, just because there was a little spike and we stopped. That's how close these decisions come. But we got to move forward as if we're having the powwow and plan. And we need to start having plans right away. And understanding the history of the powwow committee, this isn't new. There was 3 or 4 years ago when we was having a really hard time finding people to apply. I remember Garen asked me before I was on council. And so this isn't new. I mean, and that's how it went to the veterans, because we didn't have any applicants and we asked the veterans if they can take care of it. And so this is the same scenario. And we do need to start planning like we're gonna have a powwow. And but that's not a final decision. We might make a decision closer to the day if circumstances tell us different, that it might be too dangerous. But we do need to move forward as if we having our powwow, and we need to get a powwow committee going. And I agree with Eric that we need to utilize the veterans, that they want to do it and they're motivated and they've done a good job in the past. So I would I'll make a motion that the veterans plan the powwow and to include those applicants that we approve at the CEO report. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Sorry, I had my mute on. We have a motion by John and we have a second by Dalma. Rona, did you want to make your comment and discussion? I saw your hand was up.
I was gonna pretty much say the same thing as John. You know, the veterans do have gathered information from last year, and they have their contacts that would probably be the best route this year. If they, you know, if those people promise to come this year, just go ahead along with the planning and work with the 2 applicants, the 2 people that applied. I mean, that's gonna be our best route right now. You know, instead of starting all over with the new committee.
Okay. Any further discussion? Any objection to the motion? Motion carried 7-0-0.
Madam Chair, I'm in the meeting.
Okay. Brian, did you vote 8-0-0?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So thank you, council, and Eric, if you could carry that message forward to the veterans, and tomorrow at the CEO report, the those two applicants are up for consideration. And anybody listening, if you're interested in being on the Powwow Committee, you know, you have till tomorrow at 10 a.m. to submit an application. John, or excuse me, Eric.
And so with that, even if anyone that is listening, you don't make it on the Powwow Committee, you're more than welcome to come out to any meetings that the Powwow Committee does have for help, ideas, and anything like that you might want to bring to the table in aiding our homecoming celebration. You're more than welcome to come out and support. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Our next discussion is under tribal council items, and that is the election schedule. So in the packet, you'll find the election schedule that Teresa and Tyresha worked together to update, and the council has to approve this election schedule. And then from that point, it would be posted and so are there any questions on the election schedule? Is there a motion to approve the Winnebago Tribal Council primary and regular election schedule, September 7th, 2021 and October 5th, 2021?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by John. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Rona. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0-0. The next item on the agenda is revisions for tribal council, revisions for principles of ethical and moral conduct and special procedures for the Winnebago Tribal Council. And the reason why this is on the agenda is, council, as I had shared with you before, that we're having ongoing discussion, and it actually had come from the membership in some of our communications in the community, and it had come up on the COVID live stream that folks wanted to know why the tribal council didn't have to come to work. And I continually shared with the tribal members that the tribal council does come to work, and that if they were to come down here, you know, they would see their leadership. So from there, you know, the question had come up about leave, and are we utilizing our leave, and are we checking in? And as you know, council, we have to hold each other accountable. So I reached out to our general counsel, Jennifer Bear Eagle, and asked her, you know, how I could address that with the council. And, you know, I had also reached out to finance, and I'd reached out to our former chairman Brown and asked if there was any kind of special schedule or something that had been put in place before I came back on. And, you know, he said there was no special schedule or COVID telework or nothing like that had existed. So it was difficult for me to try to hold folks accountable if we didn't have something in our ethics policy that spoke to in the fashion that we take leave, in the fashion that we should be checking in with Teresa to document that leave. And so I had asked Teresa to just zero people's leave out. I said, well, if they don't come to work, then let's just zero their leave out, you know, and account for it like that. Because after your term is up, if you have any leave hours, then they pay that out to you. And so I was just having a difficult time trying to figure out how we take care of that in a good way, so that the perception is not that, one, that we don't have to come to work, and two, that we have a unlimited balance of leave. So I just wanted to, in the transparency of the council and the membership, that I was looking at this. And I had asked Jennifer to join us on this call this evening, but I don't see that she's on. And one of the things that she suggested as a solution, you know, they weren't bad ideas, but they're things that the tribe has tried before. The first one would be that we don't have any leave at all. And the second one was that we that the officers are paid and the members are stipend. And I told her, you know, well, that doesn't really work either. We've tried that, and we just don't have representation, you know, when we do it like that, and people aren't always available. And so I really wasn't thinking that was a viable option either. So the last option, I think, was that we be held accountable for that leave, and that if people aren't following the process that we have to notate that leave, then that it would be reflected, you know, whether it be in their paycheck or somewhere, you know. And so I just started thinking about, and I don't know if this is, you know, not the right way to think about it, but if the people say we're not coming to work, and but you're collecting hours, and our ethics policy says that we have to work 40 hours, it kind of puts the council in a tough spot on why you're not coming to work. So that kind of brought us to this point, and trying to hold each other accountable, and also let the people know that the tribal council does come to work. So Jennifer, I was just explaining to the membership and sharing with the council our conversations and the three options that you had proposed. So did you want to pick up where I left off?
Oh, absolutely, sure. As the chairwoman said, we had talked about the various options, and I did give you the list of ways that this could potentially be addressed. One is to get rid of leave entirely. That would be one option. The second is something that you're already doing, or you're already discussing doing, which is if a council member doesn't check in, then the assumption is that they're on leave. And then the third is for officers to be the only ones who are paid, with everyone else getting a stipend for attending meetings. A fourth thing that you and I had talked about is the need to make sure that this is addressed in two places. One, you need to make sure that this is addressed both in your ethical procedures for the council, but also in the tribe's employee policies and procedures, because tribal employees and tribal council members are not the same. And in your employee handbook, you do talk about tribal employees and council members distinctly. And so it is a little interesting to treat council members as employees, you know, giving them leave and having them be accountable for coming into the office. So you need to make sure that whatever revisions that are made that sort of address that need to be addressed in two places. I did not see anywhere in your personnel policies any special procedures within the handbook that applied only to tribal council members. So I didn't see a section that said, well, these portions of the personnel policies apply to council. So it is, except for your ethics code, it is a little unclear as to which parts apply and which parts don't. It doesn't seem like your council members probably don't have to use I don't know if you use time clocks there, like a biometric time clock there or not. And I'm sure your council members don't do that, but if somebody works after hours, I'm sure they're not earning comp time and using comp time. So, you know, a lot of things like that to think about, like which parts are you applying to council members, and then which parts are you not? So that is another thing that we had discussed, is the need to clarify what role council members versus what role council members play. Are they something different from an employee, and which portions of your personnel manual apply?
Thank you, Jennifer, for kind of laying out what we talked about. And as I was talking with Jennifer about this, it just created more questions, because, you know, on one hand, there's kind of things that the council utilizes that that is an employee benefit, like admin leave, like those are to the tribal employees, but whenever there's admin leave, most of the time council leaves too, or whenever there's admin leave, sometimes, we get off at noon, but we're not tribal employees. So it's like, where do we draw the line, and where do we hold ourselves to the highest, I guess, level of accountability, and not just pick and choose on which ones apply to us and which ones don't. So I think that this definitely could be a more in-depth conversation, but it's just unfortunate that things like council don't come to work would bring us to this point, and it's kind of embarrassing. So, but I wanted to have it here at a mid-month meeting so that people knew that I am aware of it, and that I'm looking for the best path forward so that we all have the same information and we all have the same access to kind of have some of these discussions. So Eric had his hand up, and then Thelma.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer, for being here. It's a good topic to have for tonight. The easiest way that I see us doing this would probably just be taking the council's leave away, because we're doing meetings over the internet now anyway. We're not doing it in person, and you can get online anywhere in the country, almost anywhere in the world. So that meetings could still be attended, because in the principles of ethical and moral conduct and special procedures for the Winnebago Tribal Council, on G, it says tribal council members may engage in outside employment outside the tribal organization, right? There's that. And so that's saying that they can work off the tribe, but a lot of our council members have been working within the tribe for many, many years, and it would be a whole different thing outside of there. And on X, it says, no Winnebago tribal organization employee position shall be frozen for the term of the tribal council member. And so that would be something where we would have to continue to pay our tribal council members, because it's already in the principles of ethical and moral conduct. And so I think the easiest of all the evils would just be to take the tribal council's leave. And if somebody has to go anywhere, I think within the tribal council, there'd be communication on where they're going and what their business is. And that would cover the meetings. If they can't attend the meetings because maybe they're in Washington or taking care of other meetings during the time of our tribal council meetings, that would be that communication that we all have together as tribal council members, and kind of knowing where we're all at all times. And so I think that would be the easiest way to go, is just cancel the tribal council's leave, and we'd communicate within each other for that. And like I said, a lot of our tribal council members in the past, today, and in the future are the only work that they know is gonna be on the reservation. And I'd hate to deter anyone from running for council in the future. So I say about that much. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Thelma.
Tribal council, we are on 24/7. It's not 8 to 4:30. The majority of the contacts and concerns that we have that I get is after 4:30. On weekends, on holidays, it's anytime. It's not just 8 to 4:30 that we are here and helping our people. So I wanted to make that point. And the other thing I want to say is that tribal council shouldn't get any pay at all. Just zero it out all the way across the board. None of us get paid. Be of service here to our people. So that's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Thanks, Thelma, for those comments. So the first, or Lorelai.
Madam Chair, I look back in the records in trying to understand, because I know for one, the Constitution says tribal council members may be salaried. So that's in our Constitution. But I think in the past, there were tribal members that had concerns about how accountable we are to one another and to them, the members. So I see that in October of 2015 is when this council in that year, they approved its principles of ethical and moral conduct and special procedures for the Winnebago Tribal Council. That's where that came from. That tribal council in 2015. And their wish was more accountable to each other as the tribal council, but also accountable to the membership. And then in May 21st, 2018, they revised it again. Then on August 13th, 2019, these past tribal council revised it again. So there was 3 revisions to this policy. And but the bottom line is actually the Constitution says tribal council members may be salaried. But I got on this council in July, but I got on for 3 years in October. And we had a meeting where the finance department had questions about a COLA, which is a tribal benefit, tribal employee. We're not tribal employees. We're salaried according to the Constitution. And our tribal council said, we're not employees. The tribal constitution doesn't say the tribal council members can get a COLA. So we didn't take a COLA. And when the tribal employees got either thank you checks or Christmas bonuses, we didn't take that because we're not tribal employees. And I'm kind of proud of our ethics for that as a council. I think our people need to know that we didn't get no Christmas bonus. We didn't, it wasn't for, it's not in the Constitution. But I do think that there needs to be some kind of accountability because many days there's Tori, Rona, me, and Coley. Now we have one tribal member, council member we know has underlying health conditions. We all understand that. And so we're good with that. But I don't know who the rest of you guys are. And we get calls, we get our people, tribal members come in to talk to us. And there's just us and we try to accommodate them as they come in. But I don't know where the rest of you council members are. I'm not your parent or I'm not a tribal council police. But I think that's what our membership wants is accountability. Where are we? So then in the past, and I'm not going to name names, I'm just going to bring up where in the past, if a tribal employee in the tribal organization gets elected to the council, there was a few cases where they got to have their job froze while they served their term and that job was never advertised. And as far as I know, every tribal position that we work in serves the membership in our organization. We do some level of work serving our Winnebago people. So when a position like that is frozen, that means that service has been frozen and the people don't get the benefit of that position. So that's why I added this to the principles of ethical and moral conduct, that would never happen again. That no job will be froze if a tribal employee chooses to take a tribal council salary. But I think we need to just talk about accountability. How do we do that? How do we hold each other accountable in a way that our people understand and they know where we are so they can reach us? I'm just bringing this up because most of the time they're just Tori, me, Rona, and Coley in our offices every day. Thank you.
John, thank you, Lorelai.
I'm all for any kind of better documenting on what we actually do, and all the calls we actually take, and emails and Facebook messages, and just helping people. And a lot of times people just want to talk, you know, that you just talk to them and give them your best advice, and we do a lot of that. And understand that not all of that happens down at the office. To me, not being an officer this year, I don't think there's a lot to do. So I would really like more to do, assignment from the council to help in different ways that meet my skill set and certifications, and that I could do that outside of meetings and preparing for meetings. And I would be better utilized that way. And I think a lot of us would be, instead of just sitting down at the offices for 8 hours a day. I don't think there's enough work to justify that. I think we should be out in the community and helping these departments, and that let the departments call upon us, let the community call upon us, and that we could be more active, and then just do the meetings. You know, I try to do my best and review the codes and review the Constitution and think about different things, and all the time that you spend in thought, you know, your personal time, and you're down there and you're really thinking about how to move forward, and all these issues that are crucial to our people. And all those, and all that's hard to capture, and all that's hard to document. But I'm like I said, I'm all for looking for better ways to document how we spend our time. But I also think that we should really call upon all the council members and all their skill sets and utilize them in good ways. And that would be a better path forward. That our best people sit in these manager spots and these director spots, and you know, I would hope that there would be a path for them to the council table to serve the council, and that would be a valuable perspective for our council. That would be a good path forward for our people, but to also utilize them in their skill sets and their knowledge, and to continue to utilize them that way. And I think it would open it up to a lot range of people, you know, our best people, and to continue their work as well. So that's kind of one of my I'm going to be looking for more assignments so I could be more active, and that's the addition that I had made today about the river cleanup. I want to try to organize that and spend my time there so I could be more useful instead of just sitting down there. I mean, I'm open to assignments, and I hope that the council would trust me to follow through on some things that we want done. And any department, you know, any department that's listening, or that you can call upon me, and I'll do my best. You know, I always try to like to solve problems and think of things in different ways, find solutions. So I just want to say that much, give my thoughts on the whole issue, but I'm all on board moving forward, finding better ways to document how we spend our times. Like Thelma said, you know, 24 hours a day, you know, late at night, weekends. I mean, it is that way. Thank you.
Thank you, John. So just to recap some of the comments, I agree with, you know, everyone in some sense. But, you know, to the point about nothing to do, I'll tell you, there's a lot to do. Each of us sit on various committees and work groups. I guess I encourage you to call on those seats and hats that you wear, and put your efforts in those directions. I've been on the council since 2015, and I was the secretary, and then I was the treasurer. And so for 3 years, I was not an officer. And as a member, I found plenty to do, but I had to apply myself. So, you know, nothing's gonna like fall in your lap and say, here, do this, you know, like I found the work that the tribe was engaged with the health and the hospital, and I found myself putting my efforts in there in that direction because that's something that I felt like I could help with, and it was work to be done. And I didn't have to be an officer to do that. So, but the point is that it is in our ethics policy that tribal council put in 40 hours a week, and somewhere in the pandemic, people just stopped coming to work, and I just think it's not acceptable. We made a motion to have the employees come back June 1st, and so it's really fitting that the tribal council would be doing that as well, and that that you would find it in your own leadership to help and work and do everything that you said, you know, why you ran for council. So I just want to offer that encouragement because there is definitely plenty of work to do. And if you think, you know, if you're just sitting around down here, that's that might be within your own skill sets and not lack of work. So I don't know. I wanted to bring it to the table and to let everybody know that as the chair, I think you should come to work. And I don't think that it's a big ask. I think it's at the bare minimum that people should be doing, and that we have PPE, we have masks mandate, we have desk shields. We have all the things that we at the top, at the leadership, should be demonstrating that we encourage that tribal members have these services available and that we're here to provide them. So we don't have to decide today, but I wanted Jennifer to be here today and to let you know that that this discussion is underway and that we have to figure out how we're going to account for this. Because to me, like, if people don't come to work but they're earning leave and then you can cash that out at the end, I mean, to me, that's stealing. So I take it pretty seriously, and there's got to be a better way that that we don't condone that type of performance. So Thelma and then John.
In June, when all the employees come back, I would like to see council back at our council chambers for our meetings. And also, I remember when you left, I signed your check on your annual leave too, so.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. When you leave, you're going to get a check and you don't even come to work. So we have to figure out a way to address this, because at the end of this, Thelma, if you don't get reelected, you'll get your leave paid out, and for leave you didn't earn. So it's an issue that we really have to get to the bottom of. Who had their hand up next? Oh, John.
I just wanted to say that I have several initiatives, but that I do work on, and that I did have an initiative that was stopped by council, that they said that I didn't have their blessing. So I just want everybody to understand that the assignments come from this table, and that we do like we're doing here, we're pointing fingers and accusing each other that we're doing stuff away from the table. So let's come together and make these assignments. Say, John, you do this, Thelma, you do this, and then come back with updates. I mean, I just, you know, it's frustrating to me. It's really frustrating to me. And like I said, I want to move forward and find a good way. But I mean, I guess those are just my thoughts.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with you, Coley.
Good. Good evening. Just a few things. You know, there's millions of papers down here, you know, of history of what goes on, what happened in the past, you know, stuff to read. I remember when I started on the gaming commission decade and a half ago, you know, I mean, that's how we are. What do? You know, here's your desk. No training, no prep, you know, just kind of, you guys start reading, you know, read all the, what has to do with gaming, you know, you read those codes and SOPs and things like that. And there's a lot of stuff down here, and we sit on some of these boards, you know. don't miss a lot of meetings. You know, I don't take stipends. You know, I took a few. You know, when I first got on, you know, I admit that. Then I seen what was in the code for tribal council. So I don't take stipends for a couple of boards that I sit on, but you know, they have to be operating. You got to go to those meetings, and even with those, sometimes one of the boards, you know, it's kind of tough to get a quorum, you know, for the housing. And Louis and I sit on that, and you don't always have to be down here. You know, I always say, get out there, go see what's going on, and go walk around out to the casino, go to the hospital here and there, and let the people know. You know, talk to them, visit them, support them, and they know you're out there. You know, trying to help. I would agree. Come June, you know, let's come back to work, and work together. We've been pretty positive for many months, and I like that. That's all I got.
Thanks, Coley. Well, I just wanted to introduce this. This was on general council agenda at one time. It was entitled Tribal Council Compensation, and then it got bumped. We had some other items, so I didn't want it to just not be discussed, and so I asked that it be on this agenda. And so if we're not prepared to make any choices, I know that Lorelei has an item that we're going to discuss next, but I just wanted to put it out there. You know, I'm not ashamed, or I'm not, you know, I come to work. So I think that if those that, you know, are having difficulty finding what to do, you know, if you want me to assign you, I would be happy to give you something to do, but I just don't think that there's lack of work. I think what it's more like is, you know, what they say about idle hands. So, but anyway, Lorelei.
Madam Chair, I'm going to put this on the general council agenda. When we have the general council meeting, I'm going to put the principles of ethical and moral conduct for, I'm trying to think of the word for it, but it's like I don't know what the word is, but the ethicals, all those areas in the ethics, that we recommit to them. I guess that's what I'm saying, as a council. And I'm going to put that on the general council's agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Lorelei. So the item that you have in the packet, do you want to discuss that now, or do you want to put that on the general council agenda?
I'll put it on the general council agenda. Thank
Okay.
you.
So there's a motion to have further discussion on the revisions for principles on ethical and moral conduct and special procedures for the Winnebago Tribal Council at the next general council meeting. Is there a second? John, are you seconding? John seconding. We have a motion and a second. Jennifer, did you have a comment?
Yes, Chairwoman, I do have this item already on my agenda listed. It's the last item, item number 5. My thought was that if there was carryover discussion from today's tribal council meeting that you want to continue, I did place this particular item, the general topic, on my agenda. So that is already the last item on the agenda.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer, for preserving that.
That
John?
would be my comment too, because I didn't see it on this agenda, but I've seen it on the 21st agenda.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. So that was about what my topic was, but Lorelei had something in the packet tonight that is getting pushed to the general council agenda. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Is there any objection to the motion? Okay, motion carried, and thank you, council, for your input. Thank you for your commitments, and We'll revisit this at General Council. The next item was the river bottom signs, and we had earlier discussion on how we could mark some of the land and try to help prevent some of the issues that we had discussed at our special wildlife and parks meeting. I'll turn the floor over to Lorelei.
Madam Chair, I really took to heart Councilman Armel. He suggested that we have signs that say entering Winnebago tribal lands down there at our river bottom. So that way non-tribal members would see that sign, and maybe it would be a deterrent from going in there and marking up our sand dunes and everything with their RVs and so I wanted it to be a formal motion so that way the CFO can work with Wildlife and Parks. Is Irita on too? And Irita, to what would be the cost and how many should we have? And that's what I wanted so that we can get those signs. It's down there at the river bottom.
John has hand up, and then Eric.
I agree with this, and I have a good idea of all those entry points and even along the river and coming from Homer, and I have a good idea of all those boundaries and what the signs would actually say, and also the going along with the cleanup, the river bottom cleanup too. So I would offer my services if the council would assign me to follow through on the signs and the cleanup. I wanted to organize a cleanup of our river bottoms and call upon the membership and the community members and the workforce and provide a meal and do all those good things and even stop in those areas, them powerful areas, and offer a prayer. Start this new year off good and try to take our land and clean it up and try to keep it that way throughout the year. So I would really like this assignment, and that's something I could work on.
Thanks, John. Eric?
I will agree with Councilman Snowball, and knowing that he comes from conservation and knows those access points. And one of the most important ones that I see is the one coming from Homer along the river. That's where a lot of those ATVs come in. And they go into our sand dunes and they molest our wildlife down there, those eagles that are nesting down there and that are passing through. And so we kind of like to deter that intrusion on our wildlife down there and preserve that. Being a whole chunk, that's a pretty important part of who we are. And so, I would like to see Councilman Snowball had that idea of the cleanup and the river signs, and and then maybe we might even have to look at prosecution of the violations of those signs coming in. And our COVID parameters again are still in place. The council hasn't officially put those down yet, and so they're still in place. And so I'd like to see those signs go up and have those signs enforced. So just to preserve our wildlife and our river bottoms, that we still have medicines down there that we don't want to lose. That flood come by and it done a lot of damage down there. And some of that hasn't grown back yet. Some of it has. And so preservation of our river bottom, that's kind of the whole end goal. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Eric. Before we move on to Thelma, go ahead, Thelma, make your comment, and then we'll go back to Irita.
Okay, I had sent out an email to the EPD and remember who else, but in the health department in regards to Earth Day, and this is kind of going along with what John wants to do in that cleanup down there. So I hope that these other entities that I had sent an email back would kind of work with John on this and getting that cleaned up down there, as long as the along with the rest of the reservation. Thank you.
Thanks, Thelma. And I know at our last meeting, there was a nice comment about the Renaissance program had done such a good job in some activities they had done. So perhaps if they want to be involved, I don't know if they're, but good ideas, good input, and I hope that any department that wants to be involved can participate. Let's see, Irita, did you want to comment? Can we unmute Irita?
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. I didn't really hear the question because my kids were kind of in the background making noise. But anyway, on the signs, it just kind of depends on where all the markings are, kind of what John said, depending on where you guys all want them. But on the river bottom cleanup, me and Esther and EPD and Garen had a meeting this morning regarding kind of like a cleanup down there at the river. They kind of made suggestions. We kind of threw around our little I don't know what you want to call it, our recommendations. So we're kind of already working on that part, but John, we could throw you in on our meetings and a few others that want to join as well. But it just depends on what kind of signs you guys want. Ron is usually our go-to person on like getting accurate signs and that are stable signs. So whichever route you guys want to go and whichever route Ron would recommend, we'll go with it.
All right, thanks, Irita. Eric?
Yes, I would like to speak on the size of the signs, something that is obvious and undeniable to pass, that when you're going to know when you enter a reservation, because when we find these individuals on our reservation pillaging our river bottoms and molesting our wildlife, we'd like to let them know that they're on our tribal lands and be ready to be persecuted for trespassing while we still have our safety parameters of COVID set in place. So to just make them big and seen undoubtedly so they know they're on the reservation. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Louis?
I think we need a sign. It's not too expensive. And those hunters will shoot them up. But we've got to notify the tribal members, don't know where the reservation boundaries are. On our points of entry, there could be a sign up. It goes across the reservation. The reservation doesn't include east of Highway 77. It goes all the way across. And people ought to know where those reservation boundaries are. I don't know where the eastern boundaries are. I know I don't know where the western boundaries are. I know the eastern. And I've hunted in those areas. And we have a whole southern boundary is shared with the Omaha tribe. So I see it as a bigger project than just putting 3 or 4 signs down at the river. Because there was a lot of traffic on that road north of the buffalo pasture. And you gotta know where that boundary is. Because we get a lot of police officers from the areas. It was hard to get them trained to where the reservation boundaries are. And you gotta let them know that tribal laws will be enforced. Thank you.
Thanks, Louis. Lorelai.
If the council remembers, right now we're having all the codes. We may be having to have them printed because all the codes together are over 1,700 pages. So we're working on that. I'm working on that with Tyresha. But remember, we're going to start scheduling times when we're going to work on revising our codes. Remember that? We talked about that to you council members. And we can develop in the traffic code civil citations to non-Indians, non-tribal members in the civil traffic code for trespassing. Or the only way we're only prevented from prosecuting non-Indians when it's criminal. But we could change our traffic codes and fine them for trespassing under our civil code, our traffic code. So I just want an answer to what Eric's talking about. It is doable if we do it in our civil code, which we will work on, Eric. So, and it gives us jurisdiction as long as it's civil, not criminal. And we can fine them. Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thanks, Lorelai. Eric.
Yes, I'd like to say thank you to Councilwoman Decorah for that. That was good. Speaking of going over the codes, I think when we do come back to the office in the next month or two, and we do end up congregating back into the chambers, I think that would be one of the first things that would bring the council back together, is to start going over those codes, because, you know, changing our traffic codes, and then we have to update the drug code, the alcohol code. There, you know, there's a lot of codes that need to be redone. And even for when families turn families into alcoholism or being drunk or whatever that might be, that those are codes that really need to be updated as soon as possible, because we have a lot of our community members and family members falling through the cracks. We have criminals not being persecuted accordingly. And so I think that would be something that when we do come back to the office and get into the chambers again, that maybe we could spend the better part of a week, or better part of a week in the council chambers, all taking different parts and bringing certain subjects up and updating everything. So just kind of something that might be able to come together in the future as we're talking about we're coming back to work, and in that code that's over 1,700 pages. That's quite a bit of work, and I think that'd be best done with us doing it as a congregation. Thank you.
Great comments, Eric. So Lorelai has already begun to work, and if she commented this already, I apologize, to work with Tyresha to get binders made for the council. I talked to Jennifer Bear-Eagle, General Counsel, on identifying, like, doing it every other week, and so that we pick dates so that we have time in between and then come back. And so we're looking at 2 times a month, and to do it all throughout the summer, and just start. A lot of the things that we've talked about are about code revision, and it's like we take them subject by subject, issue by issue. And so we wanted to just do a deep dive on some of those codes, and look forward to working with you on that. To get back to the agenda item was the river bottom signs. Is there a motion to get that done, or to have John facilitate that, or whatever the council would like to see done? Or if Irita's program has got it under control. Lorelai, what was the motion that you wanted out of the river bottom signs?
Well, I was going to direct the motion be to Wildlife and Parks, but I know they don't have the sign money in their budget.
Okay.
So it was going to have the CFO involved so we can find the money to pay for those signs. And
Okay.
but
you wanna
and
make-
Wildlife and Parks knows how many we need. So that was what I was proposing, but I'm open.
So Eric,
I think this would be a good time for John to get a hold of the roads or whoever can do that sign and kind of give them a good general rundown on where we need the signs, how many signs we need. You know, down along the river, we might need a bigger sign because it's a more open, vast area where the reservation line is. And coming around by the Scott Farm or Beer Can Hill, we're gonna have to go up there. And then on the south side by the southern Alligator Tree, the res line down there, because we do have a reservation access along that road at the reservation line at the bottom of the hill. There's a old driveway that goes into our reservation, and to even post down there. And so that's just along our river bottoms, protecting them. And I'm pretty sure John probably knows everywhere where I'm talking about, and give that information on the height, the width, because we have trees. They might have to cut trees out of the way, cut weeds, foliage, and be able to kind of give roads or whoever's going to be able to put those signs in and a better idea of how many, what size, how tall they're going to have to be. And so, yeah, I would be interested in seeing Councilman Snowball kind of take charge on that in that direction.
Okay,
to
great.
lead that.
Thank you for those comments. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion to have Councilman Snowball lead that in the river bottom signs and the river bottom cleanup.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Thelma. Discussion. John, are you okay with that?
Yes, and much appreciated. Thank you, Council.
Any further discussion or comments? Is there any objection to the motion? Motion carried 8-0-0. Okay, so we took care of that. The next item is river bottom cleanup. Is there any further motions that need to be made about the river bottom cleanup?
I think that was included in Eric's motion.
Okay, I just didn't know if anybody needed to make any follow-up motions about that.
Madam Chair, does that action need funding?
That's my question is the council paying for all this?
I'll I can get it together and bring back if there's any funding needs to the council.
So if you can do it like that, or otherwise we could just motion that the council is sponsoring the signs and the river bottom cleanup. Brian, you want to make that motion? Okay, Brian
Tori,
makes the motion.
Tori,
Yeah,
Irita already talked about her and Esther and Byron, or EPD doing river bottom cleanup. They had a meeting and they were going to include John in their discussion and their planning.
okay.
So they started already, and so apparently they must have funding for it if they're planning it.
Okay, Brian, do you want to withdraw your motion? Okay. All right, well, with that, is there, thank you, council, for all the good comments and all the good support that we had today. Is there a motion to adjourn? Eric?
Discussion real quick.
Well, we're not in discussion. Brian withdrew his motion, but do you have a comment?
Yes, I would like to have them update the council on that, the price on that, since they have already discussed it, and to let us know. And that way, we can all let John know and whoever's making the signs, and that way we just keep that communication clear with everybody across the board. Because if they do need help with them, then we can jump in there and financially help them.
Okay, great. Irita, if you could just provide us an update on the plans you guys have in motion and how we can further support you, we'd be happy to do that. Okay, with that, is there a motion to
Motion
adjourn?
to adjourn.
We have a motion by Brian. Do we have a second by Eric? Discussion. Any objection to the motion? Motion carried 800. We are adjourned at 6:42 p.m. Thank you, tribal members. Thank you, tribal council, our IT, and all those that had a role in bringing us together tonight. Louis, for your prayer, always sharing your wisdom. Thank you, everyone. Good night.